My name is Robert E. Reamer. I'm an attorney, and I'm here to do some filing.
Wait a second. You're an attorney at a courthouse? I don't believe it. What's going on here?
Well, it's March Madness, and normally I close my office during March Madness. So today I'm here to do some emergency filing, some documents that had to be filed today. And so I'm here, right from the house to file and back to the house in front of the TV.
So lawyers aren't pretentious all the time. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly,
Okay, well,
exactly.
that's
Some of us are real people that actually, watch basketball and they're not just all about the law.
All right. Well, that's a relief. But what you're here to put up to file some emergency filings, without obviously violating any provisions of attorney-client privilege. Can you give us a sense of the kind of cases that you're handling that would require emergency filings?
Yeah, well, basically, I do real estate litigation, and in this particular case, it's involving some stores and a trust, and I'm here on behalf of the trust and one of the beneficiaries, and I'm filing the documents in anticipation of a hearing in which I will replace the current trustee with the trustee who should be the trustee.
You already lost me.
In other words, I'm asking for a relief that otherwise would take a long time in terms of scheduling and hearings. But since the urgency of the matter requires that I be here and file it today because the hearing will be on April 7th. And by law, we're required to give 15 days notice. And so that gives it, today's the day it has to be filed.
Before you went to law school, did you imagine that this would be the kind of excitement your life would become?
Well, actually, yes, because unlike most attorneys, I actually wanted to be an attorney since I was 7 years old.
I think there's a name for that condition.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was influenced by a show called Judd for the Defense. Judd was a rich attorney who could go around the country representing people who couldn't afford his services. And so I sort of do the same thing. I don't really need to practice. I had my office in Beverly Hills for 30 years. I'm semi-retired, so now I only represent clients who need my help but can't afford to pay an attorney what I would normally charge, which is a lot.
Now, in the bigger picture, lawyers provide a very important service, right? Of advocacy, of making sure that important decisions like who goes to jail and who doesn't are handled thoroughly and properly, and there's due process and all of that, right? I mean, how would you describe, do you think, the essential service that lawyers as an industry represent for this country?
Well, it's individual to the area of the law. In other words, every area of the law has their own specialty. For instance, workers' compensation. They need lawyers on the side to represent the people who are injured. You need lawyers on the side to represent the owners of the property or the insurance company that insures it. In criminal law, you need lawyers to represent the people who have been accused of the crimes. You need lawyers on the other side to prosecute them. The kind of law that I practice, which is civil litigation, would be like divorce attorneys. You need attorneys on both sides. Landlord-tenant, eviction-type matters, you need attorneys on both sides.
So it sounds like it's settling disputes, all these things you're talking about, right?
Correct. It's always settling disputes, and I believe that the goal of any attorney is to try and settle it, no matter what side you're on, no matter whether you have a strong case or a weak case, because right now the courts are really stretched in terms of the money. The court systems have been cut dramatically in terms of the services, and
I don't know,
so
we're standing outside of a pretty new, beautiful building here that probably costs a lot of money, and I see most of the people coming out apparently just forked over at least a few $100s for traffic citations or something of that nature.
right, this is an unusual courthouse. This and perhaps the Rancho Cucamonga courthouses are two of the nicest in all of Southern California. I suggest if you want a real feel for what law is like in Southern California and Los Angeles, go downtown and do your interviews downtown where there are lots of people who are in need of services. And the courts don't even have enough money barely to keep going. They certainly don't have the money to provide for attorneys to be paid to represent people who can't afford them, unless you're in a criminal
But they
law.
still have enough money to keep locking people up, right? Jails are full, right?
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother issue. This country has.
Well, I mean, in that sense, the judicial system is serving well to decide in favor of government when people screw up, by government's definition, and break the law.
Well, yeah, there has to be a system in place to hold people accountable when they break the law. And I think this system that we have in this country is better than any other system. However, it is broken system. It is definitely prejudice against the minority, against minorities. It's prejudice against people who don't have money, who don't have power. And so, I continue to practice law, not for the money, but rather because if I didn't, there wouldn't be anybody to represent the people who can't afford real attorneys for real cases.
Well, it sounds like in terms of the legitimate service of dispute resolution, this is like the most inefficient way of doing it possible.
Well, except that as a result of the budget cuts, it has forced attorneys, especially like me, I've been practicing 34 years, and other attorneys to do more arbitrations and mediations. I seldom ever go to trial. In other words, it does cost you, the taxpayer, and everybody a lot of money to litigate these issues. And yes, I think as an officer of the court, it is my duty, which is why I originally started out saying resolution is always my goal, to eliminate the cost on the system, to resolve it without going to court. And I stand by that position. And of course, I'm in the minority among attorneys with regard to that, because most attorneys want the system to continue. They want a inefficient system because that way they continue to make money and make a living.
Inefficiency is good when you're billing by the hour.
That is exactly correct, which is why I'm semi-retired and I don't do it for the money.
Still make a good living doing this, though, yeah?
I make a living. I charge half as much per hour as I did when I had my Beverly Hills practice.
I don't agree with those statistics at all. I've never seen that.
We've done this exact same thing to
Well,
him
fine.
before.
Then we'll fix this the
and
fucking
he's
old-fashioned
still-
way.
Fight back, fight back, fight back. We are the 99% and we coming for you.